Hello, my name is Hengeveld. I'm the president of World Banknote Auctions, and I'm here today to talk to you about some upcoming highlights in our Sale 30, which takes place on our website, worldbanknoteauctions.com, on August 25th and August 28th. The first lot that I'd like to talk about is lot number 30004, which is this wonderful and intact specimen/vignette book produced by the American Banknote Company sometime in the 1860s, early 1870s. This book contains 74 vignettes with farm scenes, animals, historical figures, and there's a total of 74 plates in this volume. It is extremely rare to find books such as this that are still intact, as over the past 100-some years, most of these have been cut up in order to sell the plates individually. To find an intact album that has all plates intact, that has the cover intact, is extremely rare. And in fact, we've only been able to find maybe 3 auction offerings over the past 3 decades of an intact book such as this. It was probably produced as either a specimen book, as a salesman sample book, or as a presentation book. We're not exactly sure what the purpose of this was, but it's just an absolute wonderful volume that again will be offered on August 25th in our sale. In the lot description, we have placed a link to a page on our website where we have identified about 30 or 40 individual banknotes produced by the American Banknote Company during this time, which utilize the vignettes that appear in this volume. This truly makes the volume so much more historically interesting and makes the vignettes come to life as you can see how they were actually used. Next lot that I'd like to talk about is lot number 30056, which is part of the Varick collection of Bermuda, which is included in this sale. This is a wonderful 1964 dated 10-pound from Bermuda, graded gem circulated 66 EPQ by PMG. This is the highest denomination that Bermuda issued before they switched to the Bermuda dollar. And it's an absolute wonderful piece, well designed. It's got a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II at a fairly young age on the right, and it is quite scarce at this grade level. We've handled several before, but they are very popular as a type note, and it's really one of the classic items from the island of Bermuda. From the same collection comes this 1978 $50. This is a very scarce type. It's the second highest denomination, and it's already very difficult to find at this grade level. This particular example is graded 65 EPQ. What makes this one so special is that it has the second serial number 2, for the date, meaning that this was the second note actually printed for this date. Single-digit serial numbers on Bermuda are sometimes seen, though most of them are going to be 7, 8, or 9, or something a little higher. Finding a serial number 2 is extremely rare, and we're grateful to be able to offer this fantastic collection, which includes many more highlights that are listed on the website right now. We have some very nice notes from Canada, Bank of Canada, Dominion, some chartered notes. Here's one that I would call a personal favorite. This is a 1935 $2, the English version. There was also a French version. But this is the English version, graded choice and circulated 64 by PMG. This is a fairly short-lived type. It was introduced in 1935, and then in 1937, the bilingual series with the portrait of George VI was introduced, meaning that this type is really only printed for a couple years. You see it sometimes in well-circulated grades, and it's not that rare, but a choice and circulated example, such as this one, is something that we have not been able to offer before, and which in fact is offered quite infrequently. So this particular example is lot number 30098 in the sale. Moving on to Iraq, we have a wonderful selection of kingdom notes, including the very first pick number for the country, pick 1A. This example is graded very fine 25. It's the quarter dinar 1931. And it's a very challenging note, even though it was the lowest denomination in circulation at the time. Most ended up there, very few were saved, and this is now a very rare note This particular example is offered as lot number 30253. It's a beautiful note, portrait of King Faisal I at the right, and it's just a rarity that is offered very, very infrequently, probably to the tune of maybe one every year at most. So another highlight from Iraq is lot number 30257, which is the India print quarter dinar. PIC 13, graded choice very fine 35 by PMG. Collectors of Iraq will be familiar with the story, but I will reiterate here for those who are unfamiliar with it. During World War II and before World War II, the Iraqi notes were printed in England by Bradbury and Wilkinson. During World War II, there were concerns that the trading routes that these notes typically came in on, usually by ship, would be blocked by the Germans. So the government of Iraq decided to place an order in India of notes that were very similar in design, but printed by the Nasik Security Printing Press. There's a 100 fils, which is unique. There's a quarter dinar, there's a half dinar, which is extremely rare, and a 1 dinar. They were quietly introduced into circulation. Most people in commerce would probably have not noticed that these were different. So pretty much all denominations are scarce to, in the case of the 100 fils and the half dinar, to extremely rare, or like I said, possibly even unique. So this is a wonderful, clean, original example of the quarter dinar. It's probably the nicest VF that's in existence. In fact, to many, it would look like a full XF or even nicer. It's original. There's very nice embossing on the serial numbers, and it's just an absolute wonderful piece from a very popular country to collect. The final highlight from Iraq is this 1947 dated 10 dinar that was actually issued in the mid-1950s. This example is graded PMG choice uncirculated 64. Uncirculated notes from the Kingdom of Iraq, except for a few lower denominations later on, are very difficult to find. And especially a 10 dinar, which represented a large sum of money at the time of issue. Most of them were circulated, they were folded up, they were, spent to buy, houses and things like that, or larger purchases. And to find a 10 dinar in uncirculated condition is almost unheard of. There's a small group of these that are known to exist, but most of them are very tightly held by advanced collectors, and this type at this grade level is very infrequently offered. This is lot number 30264 in the sale. Moving on to Japan, we have a 100 yen, dated 1913, but issued around 1917. This is a very high value note for Japan. It's redeemable in gold at the time of issue, and it's a very challenging type in any grade, but to find it in about uncirculated 55 EPQ as we have here is almost unheard of. It's got a single very light center fold that limits the grade, but other than that, it's totally original. It's an absolute wonderful piece that highlights the artistry of Japanese banknotes at the time. The first series of this was issued with Japanese serial numbers, but as Japan tried to westernize around this time period, the second issue has Western serial numbers, which is the example we have here. Absolutely wonderful piece in this condition, very rare. I think there's only one graded better, which I believe does not have EPQ status. So, finding an original example that's basically looks like how it was issued over 100 years ago is absolutely wonderful. From Pakistan, we have lot number 30403. This is a Heist Pilgrim issue, the 10 rupees, big R2S, in specimen format. This note was issued to pilgrims going to Saudi Arabia, and it's extremely rare in any format. It's just one of the more difficult notes. Most of them were withdrawn over time, and the actual issue number issued at the time was very low. So both specimens and issued notes are probably equally as rare. This is a specimen. It's graded PMG about uncirculated 53, and it's a piece that is appealing to both collectors of Pakistan as well as collectors of Middle Eastern banknotes because of the link to Saudi Arabia. In fact, the note itself says for use in Saudi Arabia only. Saudi Arabia did not have any banknotes at the time. They used the Indian rupee. So this is about as early as you can get for a note that was issued specifically for Saudi Arabia. So the final lot that I'd like to talk about is lot number 30527. This is a South Vietnam 200 dong from the mid-1950s, pick 14. However, in replacement form. And as many would know, a replacement is a banknote meant to replace a note damaged during production. And it's usually identifiable by a little mark, such as a special prefix letter, or in this case, red stars under the serial number. Replacements of this particular issue are very challenging, but the 200 dong is a very high denomination, and to find a replacement on this note is very, very rare. There's, as far as I know, only been a few confirmed offerings, and most of these that have been sold have done so privately, as we have been unable to find any auction records for this particular variety in replacement form. An absolute wonderful piece that, together with everything I talked about, is offered for sale August 25th with an additional session on August 28th on our website, worldbanknoteauctions.com. Thank you for watching and good luck.